Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Had a couple guys ask me about the Hydroboost. So on my right, you can see that this is a Hydroboost setup. On my left, this is a regular vacuum booster setup. So I'm going to go over some differences on those for you today. As you can see, there's two pedals behind me because they're different between the two systems. So I'm going to go ahead and show you these differences and explain to you why these are a notable upgrade and why you should try to do the pedal as well. So these are automatic pedals. These aren't manual pedals. These are a little bit easier to handle, a little bit easier to do with a video. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the camera here, and we're going to go ahead and go over the differences between the Hydroboost and the vacuum. So let me get these pedals out of your way here. So the first notable difference between these two is the size of the reservoir on these. You can see the Hydroboost is much larger than the vacuum one. As for its specific capacity, I'm not real sure. However, it's definitely larger and still holds the same low fluid sensor. Just it's on the other side of this because I have them reversed. So you can use these on your truck. These are a bolt-in modification with its required little pieces and parts. The only thing to make mention of here is, I'll spin this around so you guys can see. You still have the proportioning valve here. So it's still there. Okay, the only difference here is this one is set up for disc brakes. This is a straight through design. There's no metering on this valve. This one is set up for drum brakes. There is metering on this valve. I've seen guys switch them. You can do that, but if you are going and you're running disc brakes, if you're doing an 05 axle swap, you want this valve. And you can't buy just the valve. Some master cylinders do come with it, so you can buy a master cylinder and get that valve with it. So that is something to keep in mind there. Now let's see if I can get this to show for you here. So the size of this master cylinder is 1 1/4 inches. This is still a Ford one here. 1 1/4 inches. The Hydroboost one is 1 5/16 inches. So the bore on this master cylinder is actually larger than the vacuum one. So that's something that is also good for running a larger disc brake system. You get a larger bore master cylinder with the Hydroboost as opposed to the vacuum boost. So you get a little bit more fluid movement, which gives you a better pedal feel and a little bit stiffer pedal and a lot more fluid to run the bigger calipers if you're running the 05 axle swap. Now these bolt patterns are different on these master cylinders. I've seen guys where they cut this out and they make it fit. I don't suggest doing that. So if you're going to run a Hydroboost system, you want to make sure that you have a Hydroboost master cylinder. It's the only way to go. It's the only right way to do it. Try not to mix and match these parts. If you're still running drum brakes, then yes, you can swap this proportioning valve onto this master. But keep this proportioning valve because you may need it if you're going to be upgrading your brakes later, even if you do a disc brake swap on your factory OBS rear axle. So your pedal rods, they are the same here. This one's a little bit harder to see here, so it wants to roll away. But you do need the required lines. So this is a return here. One is a pressure and one is a pressure out. So you go from your power steering pump to the booster, out of the booster to the steering box, out of the steering box to the back to the power steering reservoir. This also goes to the power steering reservoir. That is what needs to be teed into on your truck. I will go over and show you this on my silver truck, but I wanted to go over the differences between the vacuum and the Hydroboost. Now this is the part that everybody misses. This is a very, very big deal. We're going to talk about these pedals. So these pedals, they look the same, right? You know, I got them lined up here. Pedals are in the same spot, both laying on the bench, both same dimensions, except for this pin location. As you can see, this pin is higher than this pin. So the distance from here to here and here to here is 7/8 of an inch different. The Hydroboost pedal has this pin moved up because the Hydroboost setup provides a little more pressure, and it also pushes the pedal up a little bit higher. So this is why you get a taller pedal with this Hydroboost system, but you need this pin higher to get the correct mechanical force when you press on the brake. So if you have the vacuum pedal on the Hydroboost setup, this pedal will actually be a little bit too low for your foot when you're driving, but also you'll have to press harder with your foot to get the same amount of braking force than you would with the Hydroboost pedal. So when you're doing a Hydroboost swap, you want to make sure that you have the right pedal. If you don't have this pedal, if you can't get this pedal, because this is a specific F-Superduty only pedal, and that works for the manual trucks too. Like I said, this is an automatic pedal. So this setup design works for the manuals also. You know, the manuals have the higher pin than the vacuum. So if you need, you can actually take this pin out, grind all this weld off, take this pin out, weld the hole shut. You want to measure 7/8 of an inch center to center, re-drill through this foot pedal, and weld the pin back in the correct orientation, the correct depth. So you can modify your original pedal if you can't get your hands on a Hydroboost pedal. It is 7/8 of an inch center to center difference, but that is a very, very big, notable difference. This will make a very large difference in how that brake system feels when you're driving the truck. So those are the visual, mechanical differences between the Hydroboost. All of these parts are available aftermarket except for this brake pedal. This has to be a used out of a truck from somewhere. You will never find this pedal on the market for sale that is new. This is a used only item. This has to be pulled from a truck. If you go to Ford and say, hey, I need a brake pedal, and they say, oh yeah, we got one, and they order it, it'll be this one. Guaranteed it'll be this one. So this bolts right in, same bolt pattern on the back. This is a bolt-in upgrade for your OBS truck. Like I said, we're going to go over and I'm going to show you this on my silver OBS truck, and I can even show this to you on my dump truck that is factory with it, so you can see that they're a little bit different, but they still work the same. So here we are, we got this Hydroboost set up on my silver 95 here. Like I said, it bolts right in. You can see the lines here. So these are your pressure lines to and from the booster, and then also the return that returns back to the power steering. And we have the remote reservoir on this one, so I can't really show you how that tees in, but this fits in here very nicely. And down here, I didn't mention this while we were over there, but this is a cruise control master. The difference between the cruise control and non-cruise control is the sensor. So those sensors are actually on the master cylinder. You don't need it. It's a redundant switch. So you can bypass that redundant switch if you have a Power Stroke truck. And actually, with the recall that was for those, not having it isn't really a bad thing, because that was the whole cause of the fires on these trucks. Like I said, this truck has the 7.3 van power steering pump, so it doesn't have the reservoir down here. So we'll go ahead and walk over here to the dump truck. Like I said, this truck's been through a lot, but this is a factory setup on this truck, and there is no cruise This is non-cruise master. As you can see, there's no wires down here. See if I can get a better angle for you here. So you can see there's no wires down here on the end of the master cylinder. The cruise does work on this truck, and it does cancel the way it's supposed to through the brake system. And let me go ahead and grab a light for you here so you can see. Oh, maybe we don't need it here. So that is the return on the front of the power steering reservoir here. So that's this right here. That is for the Hydroboost. And I have a video, I don't know if it's going to be before or after this one, but it's a video comparing the 7.3 engines. I can show you that reservoir a little bit better. So the F-Superduty trucks have that extra return on the reservoir there, and it's right on the front, and that is specific for the Hydroboost. And you don't need that because you can tee into your existing Hydroboost system. I'm sorry, your existing return for your power steering. But this is a factory setup on this truck. This setup's never been removed from here. As you can see, it does have the low pressure warning switch in the master cylinder here. So this is a very, very easy upgrade to do. All of the parts are readily available except the pedal. You cannot buy the master cylinder, I don't believe, anymore new from Ford, and you can't buy the booster itself new from Ford anymore. But you can buy these aftermarket and also remanufactured, and they're just as good. They work. So just covering some modifications for these trucks. They're very, very simple to do. It's nice when you have factory parts from a heavier truck that fit on your truck here, and you can go ahead and make these modifications. And it's nice because you got a no 5 axle swap, you want better brakes, you want bigger brakes. This is a bolt-in kit for you to get that better braking and not having to do any major modifications. So short video for you guys today. Hope that helps you out on maybe doing a Hydroboost swap. There's a lot of write-ups on these on the internet. A lot of forums have gone over these with the part numbers and everything like that. So you want to make sure you get the right parts. My suggestion is Gates hoses. They're pretty high quality. They've worked really well for me in the past. As far as hose, rubber hose, I've always used Gates rubber hoses, or if I can get my hands on some AeroQuip reinforced hose, I'll use that. And then always use brass tees and Teflon tape on any threaded connections that you're making in the return system. As these are all flared, you don't need Teflon tape on those. But they all bolt in, go right to the boxes and everything like that. Very, very simple, very easy, and a worthwhile upgrade if you're doing any kind of brake upgrades on your OBS. So thanks for watching. Hope that you guys learned something from this video. Hopefully we can keep these videos rolling, and we'll keep the OBS content flowing. Thanks for watching.